Self-knowledge. Self-knowledge is a complex issue. I wrote a whole book on it, Building a Gateway to Self-Knowledge. And it's the only book that I wrote a whole page, who should not read the book. If somebody's too obsessive compulsive and wants to know exactly how they are, don't read that book. And I don't promote the book because there's only 100 pages of text and there's 400 pages with 200 traits and 9,000 questions that are humanly impossible to answer. So what is the idea of self-knowledge? It's not yes or no. I have self-knowledge, I don't have self-knowledge. We all know a little bit about ourselves. And there are always factors that we're not aware of, we're not conscious of. But if a person reads it with a light attitude of just, well, what's possible? What are the different traits? And it's too overwhelming, and I don't advocate it. What I do advocate is much simpler. We have thoughts, feelings, words, and actions. That's what traits are. Our midos, our traits. Those are patterns of your thoughts, feelings, words, and actions. Awareness, self-awareness helps us tremendously. But not being upset with ourselves that we're not the way we would wish to be. Because otherwise, like I wrote a book on patience. And family members will tell me if I'm impatient, you wrote a book on patience, and look, you're impatient. And I say, imagine how it would be if I didn't write a book on patience. And that's not one of my favorite topics. I don't really speak a lot about patience, but it's one of the traits. And it's important to keep growing in patience because you can develop any quality you want to develop with patience and persistence. Patience and persistence. Patience and persistence. And I have a formula for self-development. The formula is GTSS equals brain. GTSS, 4 qualities. G is goals. What's your goal? What's our goal? Anybody that came here, you had a goal to get here. We have goals in our life. How do we want our life to unfold? We have specific goals, spiritual goals, financial goals, relationship goals. Goals. But then we have traits, GTSS, traits. What are your traits? What are your traits? Are your patterns of your thoughts, feelings, words, and actions. And as we heard last night from the Rebbitzin, that everyone has unique fingerprints. We're all unique. We all grew up with a unique DNA, except identical twins, which I have identical twin sister-in-laws, and they live in different cities. One lives in Lakewood, one lives in Yerushalayim. And one level, they look so similar that their children can confuse who they are. You're my mother, you're my aunt. They look so the same, but they don't think exactly the same. They're living in different cities now. So we all think in unique ways. And we have our patterns of our traits. We grow up in a home. Our parents had traits. We were a young child, and we had a self-image. And it's fascinating. Our self-image as a, let's say, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old is limited. A 3-year-old can't do the same as a 6-year-old. But when we're 3-year-olds, can I learn things or not? Now, there are 2 skills that every person you ever meet has learned painlessly. And the reason why we learned these 2 skills painlessly, because we didn't go to school for them, and we never were old enough when we learned the skills to tell ourselves, I won't be able to do this. Those 2 skills are standing up and walking. We didn't start off in life saying, I'm a crawler. I don't know if I'll ever be a walker. I see my father and mother walk. You have brothers and sisters that are older, cousins, neighbors. They're all walkers. what if I don't walk? I don't know if I can walk. And the first time we try to walk, we all fall down. Every human being does. It's a skill to walk, a skill to stand up. But we eventually keep walking, and then we know we can do it. And then we have a skill that's called talking. Like a highlight in everyone's life is when you said your first word. Most people don't remember when they said the first word. I think it's probably impossible to remember because you didn't just say a word and then say, wow, I just said my first word. If you could say that, you know more than one word, and when you said one word, you didn't know you could do that, so we can't do that. So we just started speaking, and nobody starts off. I see other people speaking, and I don't understand what they're saying, but they must be saying something, and maybe I'm not going to be a talker. Everybody learns to talk. So we all pick up our language unconsciously, automatically. But we all pick up our traits automatically. And as a young child, we're all selfish. We're self-centered, as we heard before in the talk. We all, that ego orientation, because when we're hungry, we don't say, I'm hungry, maybe somebody else is hungry also right now. I may have to get them food. As you're a little child, when you're hungry, you cry. And it's a message to your mother, anybody else, caregivers, is you need some food right now. So we all grow up with patterns of thoughts, feelings, words, and actions. My Rebbe's mentor, Rabbi Gifter's mentor, was Mordechai Pagamansky. And he used to say over the following story. Metaphor. Two young children, two young boys were playing outside. One was a horse and one was a balagola, a wagon driver. They're having a good time, the horse, the wagon driver. And then it started raining. So the boy who played the role of the wagon driver came in the house. The boy who played the role of the horse stayed outside, and it started raining. He was crying. And his mother sees him and calls out the window, it's raining, come in the house. And what are you crying for? He said, I'm crying because it's raining and I'm wet. She says, stop crying and come in the house. He said, I can't, I'm a horse. Horses can't make brachas, and they can't say amen, so it's beautiful. He said, I'm a horse. So the idea is a person can play a role, and then they believe the role is who they are. We're not our roles. We're just acting that way. We have free will. Bechira, ubecharta b'chaim, says the Torah, choose life. Choose life. So the whole idea of our personality, there's temperament, there's Myers-Briggs, there's Enneagram, different personality systems. I think they're all very helpful as long as you don't take them too seriously, because if you believe about something about yourself, that's part of your identity, then you're limiting yourself. Any negative trait. So a key point in Torah is we're put in this world, says the Vilna Gaon, to refine our character traits. And that's why we're here, in order to keep developing our midos. Rambam has all the laws of Judaism in 83 sections. The section dealing with character development is called Hilchos Deos. The word Deos from Das are using our intellect. Those are midos, those are character traits. Says the Rambam in the Perek Aleph Halach Aleph, the first law, he says, statement that doesn't seem like a law, doesn't seem like it's appropriate in the Rambam. He says, Deos harbe yesh bnei adam. People have many qualities. Some people get very angry easily. Some people rarely get angry. Some people are very generous. Some people are very selfish. Some people are very courageous. Some people have a lot of fear. They're cowards. And he goes on and on to say distinctions, how people are. Now that's it. That first law doesn't say anything of law. Why does he say it? And the answer is, when it comes to eating matzah and Passover and Pesach, we all have the same mitzvah. We all have the same mitzvah. But when it comes to character development, no two people are the same. We're all unique. We're all different than anyone else. And we all have our unique mission in life that we can only do with our traits. Because there's a trait called laziness, atzlus. And there's a trait called zrizas, taking action. So some people will say, oh, I'm lazy by nature. It's very easy to be told you're lazy. Let's say a young boy doesn't clean up his room. And his mother says, clean up your room. And he doesn't clean up the room. So some parents will say, you're lazy. You're lazy, you didn't clean up your room. The kid's not lazy, just not motivated, doesn't care. Like the mother cares and wants the room to be neat. This little boy doesn't care. His room's neat, not neat, it's all right. He can find his bed and he can find his toys and he can find what he needs. So he's not lazy, he's just not motivated. And really we need self-love, to love others, that we heard before from the Yeshiva Eish Torah of Noach Weinberg, who I had the privilege of being with him from day one of Eish Torah in 1974 till he passed away. The Noach Weinberg said, you love yourself is so important to deal with other people. V'ahavta l'reach kamocha, love other people as yourself. That verse implies you love yourself. And Rabbi Isaac Shear has a beautiful essay, how important love is in Judaism. Love of Torah, love of people. And starting with love of ourself. Because to love our Creator, it goes together. There's an amazing statement. My father was a disciple of the Chafetz Chaim, the saintly Chafetz Chaim, passed away in 1933. My father studied yeshiva for 12 years. Before my father passed away, he told me to write in his tombstone, he wanted to be buried in Jerusalem, even though he was Rav in Baltimore for 40 years. He told me I want to be buried in Har Menuchos, and write on my tombstone, Zocha l'kabel Torah, mipiv shemrona Chafetz Chaim barad. He mirrored their Torah from the mouth of the Chafetz Chaim and Rad. Now, when I was a young boy, my father told me a story. It had a big impact on my father. And a big impact on me hearing it many years later after the story happened. The Chafetz Chaim called my father over. He said, Shmuel, there's a Jewish factory in Grodno. They started opening on Shabbos. The workers are all Jewish. The owners are Jewish. Go to Grodno and persuade them, influence them, motivate them to close on Shabbos. My father went to Grodno, spoke to the owners. They agreed to close on Shabbos. My father came back to Radin, reported to the Chafetz Chaim what he said, and when my father told me the story, he patted himself on the cheek, remembering how it felt when the Chafetz Chaim patted him on the cheek. And the Chafetz Chaim said, Azoi young and Azoi klod. So young and so clever. Now, the question you might be asking yourself, which I always ask myself, what did my father say? When I was a little boy, I don't know what he said. You know, you hear a story from your parents about things that happened in their life. I didn't ask any questions about it. I just, oh, okay. First time, pat him on the cheek. That was real nice. But it was like this. Now, when I'm older, in my book, Self-Confidence, the fact that the Chafetz Chaim believed in him, he sent him on a mission, it means he believed he could accomplish his mission. That gave my father the belief, I'll be able to be successful. I don't know what I'll say yet. I have to figure it out. Whatever I say, I'm going to figure out what to say. I'm going to have the Siyata D'Shmaya, divine assistance, to have the inner wisdom, which we pray for 3 times a day. Ata Cholim Das, Mlamed Bina, Chanenu Mitchodea, Bina Vahaskel. We pray for wisdom. Most important thing in the world. If a person doesn't, like in Havdalah, after Shabbos, when we pray the Shmona Esrei, we say a prayer by Havdalah, we mention Havdalah by Hata Cholim Das. Because Das, knowledge and intellect, that's needed to differentiate. To differentiate between day and night. You know, one level you can say, and pretty obvious, My mother, unfortunately, her last 8 years had Alzheimer's, dementia, and the mind goes. How awful it is, you don't know where you are, what you're supposed to be doing, and not recognizing people. It was very fascinating that I had a good friend, a psychiatrist, whose daughter became Torah observant through Eshet Torah's Rabbi Weinberg, and he used to visit. Now, there were songs in my mother's youth that this person knew. So he started singing songs that my mother heard when she was a teenager. My mother was born in Poland, but my Zelig was a Chassidish Rav in Cleveland, and he sang songs that she heard as a teenager. She stood up. She was really out of it. But when she heard these songs, she just stood up and started clapping and singing along. And the person who was her nurse, that was there, just had mouth wide open. Because, wow, like this person looks like they're totally not here, but they hear the song. So we all have memories. And we have positive memories and negative memories. When I give a talk on happiness and non-happiness, it's created, and what things do we remember? But when it comes to character traits, we all remember times and moments that we did something right, that we accomplished, we acted in great ways. And we all have memories when we felt lazy, not motivated, we didn't act at our best and highest. And that is so important. So the formula again is goals, GTSS, goals, traits. So the fact, the Chofetz Chaim believed in my father, he believed in himself. We all have a unique mission. The Creator believes in you. The Creator believes that I can meet my mission in life. And even if some people clear, I know my mission, it's this and this. I had a good friend, Mayor Schuster, blessed memory. He had a mission to pick people up. That's when Eshet Torah started. Nobody heard of Eshet Torah. The website didn't exist. The internet didn't exist. The H.com didn't exist. Nobody heard of the place. But people would go to the Western Wall. And Mayor Schuster would go over and say, would you like to hear a class on Judaism? Would you like to meet a Jewish philosopher? Sometimes he just said, would you like to eat lunch? And he'd bring them up to the yeshiva. And that's how we got students. And this Mayor Schuster, his biography is being written right now. Mayor Schuster's so shy, such an introvert, but he had a mission. I got to bring people to Torah. And he did. And people are grateful to him for the rest of their life. And even people that stayed a day or 2 days or 3 days were influenced. And that's the beauty of meeting together over here in sunny Indaba, that even one day, it's awesome. And I think one of the biggest problems are that a lot of talks a person might want to go to at the same time, but you can only go to one place at one time. At the same time that we have our goals and our traits, so we keep upgrading ourselves. Don't identify yourself with any limitations. So traits, then we have states. What is an emotional state? When I talk about happiness, we'll talk more about it, that every time you're in a positive state, it's stored in your brain. Give names to your favorite states and keep accessing. States come in common names: state of courage, confidence, serenity, enthusiasm. All you need is one moment of enthusiasm about anything, and that enthusiasm is stored in your brain forever. You need enthusiasm? I'm going to take enthusiasm from my brain. And so therefore, and I wrote an article called On Collecting States. First, I wrote it in a journal called Anchor Point, and I wrote it for Eshet Torah, H.com, it's available. Jewishized it with some Jewish examples, but every time you're in a especially good state, give it a name. Because when you change your state, 10 things happen. Your BBB, EHHIMPT changes. That stands for breathing, brain waves, blood pressure, energy level, heartbeats, hormones, immune system, muscle tension, posture, and tone of voice. So all these 10 things, and especially I said it way too fast to get it, but I just wanted to say there's a full spectrum. When you change your state, many things are happening and all at once, and you don't even need to be aware what they are. So goals, traits, states, because if you are in a positive state, you treat yourself well, you treat other people well, you pray with all your heart, you study Torah with your mind. When you're in a positive state, your mind works, your heart works best, and everything goes wonderfully well. Goals, GTSS, goals, traits, states, and self-image. What's your self-image? From a Torah point of view, your self-image is, I am Tzelem Elokim. I'm created in the Almighty's image. You're Banim L'Makom. I'm a child of God. And the statement, the most awesome statement, the Talmud Tractate Sanhedrin, a person's obligated to say 3 words, Bishvili Nivra Ha'olam. The universe was created for me. It's created for you also. And you, and you, and you. It's all of us. The universe is created for me and you. And therefore, together, we're going to make a better world. Because we can't do it all ourselves. We need a partnership with everyone else. GTSS, goals, traits, states, self-image equals brain. What does BRAIN stand for? It's an acronym. Belief. That means for your self-image, believe that you're valuable. What if you feel I'm insecure? Insecurity is a belief. To say, wow, I'm going to choose to be self-confident. Now, can you really just choose to change yourself? Yes and no. If you believe that right now, oh, I'm going to be self-confident, and I'm not self-confident, so some people say, I'm just fooling myself. No, you're not. You say, I want to be self-confident. I want to build my self-confidence. And I tell people who tell me, I'm not self-confident, do you know how to count to 10? He says, yeah, prove it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hey, you're confident you can count to 10, right? Yes. You have self-confidence. Yeah, very good. Wonderful. And then I said, you know the ABCs? Yeah. Let's hear it. He say, do all the way to R? Oh, yeah, I know all the way to Z. In English, we would say, when I grew up, Baltimore, Z. Here, I think, say Z, right? A to Z. A, B, C, D, E, F. Yay, wow, you know the alphabet. That's self-confidence. Wonderful. Because I had such belief in limitation as I was growing up, and I still have it today, and I still make breakthroughs all the time. It makes life a lot of fun. Wow, I didn't think I used to be able to do this. So any positive quality, believe you can develop any quality. Because even if you feel, I don't have this positive quality, every positive quality in the book, all 200 traits that I write about in Gateway to Self-Knowledge, every positive trait you want, you can accomplish. And the Rambam tells us how. Keep doing the positive trait over again. What if you have a fault? If you have a fault, no problem. Think what the opposite would be. And keep going. Normally we have a balance. We have to have a wise balance. But if you have a fault, go to an extreme positive. And when you go to an extreme positive, then for a while, till you get more balance. So the goal is a wise balance. In the film we saw this morning of Israel Goldfein, he said that tells the Shivas were very much for balance, wise balance. And that's what we need, so much a wise balance. B, now R in brain stands for right way. Go towards what you do want, not what you don't want. Go towards what you do want, right way. Means some people say, I don't want to be lazy. Oh, I don't want to be so insecure. I don't want to be so fearful. Don't do that. Say, how I do want to be. I want to be fearless. I want to be courageous. Now, courageous, I wrote a book called Courage. And I said, this is not a book about being a lion tamer or how to, climb Mount Everest. It's fucking personal. That ability to open up to positive traits, positive ways of being. So brain stands for so far belief, have positive belief about yourself. R is right way. A is action. The only way you can have a great goal, I want to know all the Torah. I want to do tremendous acts of kindness. I want to be able to do away with homelessness and poverty in the world. I want to make world peace. Easier said than done. Everything in the world is easier said than done. I can say all those things right now. We'll create a peaceful world. We'll have everybody in the world loving Jews and everybody else, right? We can say it very easily. To really create that, that's a lifetime process. And we're not even going to finish it. Lo alecha melacha ligmar. It's not upon you to finish all the things that we have to do. But that's because we won't finish it. Iyatov ben chorin libalto mimeno. Just because you're not going to be perfect, you won't accomplish everything, don't give up. And as my teacher, Rabbi Gabriel Ginsburg, used to say, when you reach for the stars, you might not catch any, but at least you won't get your hands in the mud. And I found that very inspiring. Because, you can have great goals. You write a book. Like, none of my books hit as many books as Harry Potter. Now, if I had a choice, would I rather write Gateway to Happiness or all 7 Harry Potter books? I'd rather write Gateway to Happiness. Because Harry Potter sold many more copies. But nevertheless, my goal wasn't to sell a real lot of copies. I'd rather everybody on the planet read my book. And my fellow Lionel Ketchen on his website, happinessclub.com, I wrote a condensation, first 8 chapters. You get a free download from happiness.com. Happinessclub.com. Happinessclub.com is Lionel Ketchen's website. So the goals, traits, state, self-image equals belief, right way, action. I is imagination. Anybody that worries, all worry is imagination. Some people say, oh, I don't have such a great imagination. Do you ever worry? Of course. Oh, that means you have imagination. Worry is just imagining something happened that you don't like. If you have to get a plane and you think you might miss it, and especially if a person, oh, imagine I miss it, that'll be awful. So imagination. Keep imagining yourself. Now, how many people heard of Oswald the Rabbit? Probably very few, right? Oswald the Rabbit. And there was a guy who made Oswald the Rabbit, and then he lost Oswald because he didn't have copyright. He got paid a small amount of money for the cartoons he made, Oswald the Rabbit, and then the person who had the copyright took it away, and he had the right to, and all the employees were working for this fellow quit on him because he couldn't pay them, and they worked for the guy who took Oswald the Rabbit. And while nobody heard of Oswald, hardly anybody, can't see from over here, it's like shining my eye, but the Oswald the Rabbit isn't that famous. This guy gave up on Oswald the Rabbit, then he had to give it up. So then he saw a mouse, and he called him Mortimer Mouse, and people didn't hear of Mortimer Mouse, but probably most people heard of Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse was made by the same guy who thought of Oswald the Rabbit. He used his imagination. So Walt Disney is usually used as an example of imagination. Albert Einstein, imagination. But every person who worries has imagination. So upgrade your imagination. Upgrade. Keep imagining yourself every positive trait you want. Imagine yourself speaking and acting that way. Today research is in that when you actually imagine something, it changes your brain. So when you do actions like the Rambam's idea, do many actions over time, and if as A in brain is action, I is imagination. And N in brain is now. We're always in the present. You're always now. There's a beautiful poem from Dessler. The past is only memories. The future is hope for illusion. Turn to the present. Chayechi, that's where your life is. V'kula rak nisyon, it's the challenges to help you grow and develop. So we're always now. And now you get to choose your next thoughts, feelings, words, and actions. So how do you choose your feelings? You can't. Exactly, directly. If you collect states, then it's easier. But since you can choose your next thoughts, choose your next words, choose your next actions, then you have, what if you have a habit of thinking negative thoughts? Speak negatively and condescending to yourself and self-limiting. And your actions, you don't do a fraction of what you could be doing. So the good news is now we can choose any thought, any positive thought. Choose gratitude. Choose thoughts of courage, choose thoughts of zrizis, taking action, accomplishing. And right now, you can choose your next thoughts, your words. When you speak, if let's say a person wasn't kind enough, right now you can speak kindly. A person wasn't positive enough to their parents, kibbud av v'em, or their children, or their grandchildren. Most people are pretty good to their grandchildren. But if we weren't positive enough to anyone when we spoke, we didn't bring out the best in them, right now we can start bringing out the best. It's never too late. And it's never, as long as we're alive and our mind is working, now you choose your next thoughts, words, and actions. So how do we know what to choose? So first, every time you read an inspiring book, every biography of a great person, every talk you listen to, you'll hear ideas. And there's feedback. Number 35 of the 48 ways. Rabbi Noach Weinberg gave over in 48 ways. The oyev tachacha, literally it means loving criticism, is usually translated. But you can also understand this to mean loving feedback. Love feedback. Now, how do you love feedback? Because if you know that something is beneficial for you, you're going to be happy about it. Let's say a person drops their wallet and somebody comes over, you drop your wallet here, I want to return it to you. You'll appreciate it if they say it nicely. What if they say, stupid idiot, you just dropped your wallet? You're going to say, you call me stupid idiot? I'm not listening to you. Bye, I'm walking away. Or Noach Weinberg gave another example. You're driving your car, back door is open, and somebody insults you, idiot, your door's open in your car. You don't say, you call me idiot, I'm going to keep driving. You don't, you stop, you close the door. Why? You realize the importance. So we realize the importance of keep developing. So we all heard feedback many times. Not always so pleasant, but we heard feedback. Keep growing now, and keep growing. And if it's hard to take action, keep imagining yourself. Research shows that when you take imagination, you keep developing yourself. So we have the formula. GTSS equals brain. Goals, traits, state, self-image equals brain. Beliefs, right way, action, imagination, now. We're always now. So self-knowledge means that we're aware, what is my pattern so far? But even if a person didn't have self-knowledge, as long as now you're growing and developing, it's wonderful. You can create a great life for yourself, great character traits, and that is Torah v'lachta b'drachav, says the Rambam. Maimonides says, where in the Torah did it say develop your character? 2 words. Walk in the Almighty's ways. V'lachta b'drachav, walk in His ways. And therefore, compassion, kindness, and having positive qualities helps us enhance our life in every way, and we serve as great role models for everyone we encounter. Thank you.